Once, Zhuangzi dreamed he was a butterfly. But when he woke up, he asked, "Am I a man dreaming I am a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming I am a man?" This single question has puzzled minds for centuries. Today, we'll uncover 10 profound lessons from Zhuangzi, wisdom that can transform how we see life, freedom, and happiness. Lesson 1. Reality is not always what it seems. Zhuangzi's most famous story begins with a dream. He once dreamt that he was a butterfly, fluttering joyfully, free from all human concerns. But when he woke up, he asked himself, "Am I Zhuangzi who dreamt of being a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming that I am Zhuangzi?" This question isn't just playful, it's deeply philosophical. It shakes the very foundation of what we think is real. How do we know the difference between dream and reality? What if what we call reality is just another layer of illusion? The butterfly dream teaches us humility. We live with so many assumptions, that our experiences are solid, that our senses never lie, that we are who we think we are. Yet Zhuangzi shows us how fragile this belief is. Reality may be far more fluid and less certain than we realize. In modern life, this lesson is incredibly powerful. We often get trapped in our worries, our stresses, our ego. We cling to an identity. I am successful, I am a failure, I am this, or I am that. But Zhuangzi's butterfly dream whispers, what if these identities are also dreams? If reality is uncertain, then perhaps what matters is not clinging to certainty, but learning to live freely, lightly, like a butterfly. Instead of obsessing about control, we can find peace in accepting the mystery of existence. Zhuangzi doesn't give us an answer, he gives us a door to wonder, to curiosity, and to humility. Lesson 2. Flow with the Tao. Zhuangzi believed that life should follow the Tao, the way. The Tao is not a rule book, not a rigid path, but the natural flow of the universe. Everything has its rhythm. Rivers flow, trees grow, the sun rises and sets. When humans resist this natural order, suffering begins. Imagine water. Water never forces its way through rock. It simply flows around it. Over time, it wears the rock down effortlessly. That is the power of softness, of flexibility. Zhuangzi saw wisdom in this. When we align ourselves with the Tao, life becomes less of a struggle. In our world today, many people fight against the natural course of things. We push ourselves beyond limits, chasing achievements, wealth, recognition. We live with stress because we are constantly rowing upstream. Zhuangzi's lesson is a reminder. Stop fighting so hard. Learn to flow. This doesn't mean giving up. It means listening. Listening to the natural direction of your life, your strengths, your seasons. Just as a farmer does not command the rain but works with it, we too must work with the rhythms of life. To flow with the Tao is to live with balance, humility, and harmony. It's to know when to act and when to rest. It's to let go of constant resistance and discover the effortless power of being aligned with the universe itself. Lesson 3. Perspective changes everything. Zhuangzi often told stories to remind us that what we call truth often depends on perspective. One of his teachings says, "What is big or small, useful or useless, good or bad, all depend on the viewpoint." Think of a mountain. To an ant, it is enormous, unimaginable. To the earth itself, it is just a small bump. Who is right? Both and neither. The same applies to our daily lives. We often label things as failures or successes, tragedies or blessings. But from another angle, the same event might mean something completely different. Losing a job could feel like disaster, but it might be the doorway to a new beginning. Zhuangzi invites us to loosen our grip on rigid judgments. If perspective changes everything, then maybe our certainty is less important than our openness. This lesson brings freedom. Instead of being trapped in narrow definitions, we can expand our view. We can learn empathy, seeing through the eyes of others. We can learn peace by realizing that life is rarely as black and white as we assume. Perspective is not about denying reality, it's about seeing reality more fully. Lesson 4. The wisdom of uselessness. One of Zhuangzi's most fascinating ideas is the value of being useless. He told the story of a crooked old tree. Carpenters ignored it because its twisted shape made it worthless for wood. And yet, because it was useless, the tree lived long, free, and untouched. What a paradox! Its uselessness was its survival. Zhuangzi used this story to challenge society's obsession with productivity and usefulness. We measure ourselves by how much we produce, how efficient we are, how valuable others find us. But this endless pursuit often destroys us, just like useful trees get cut down. Sometimes freedom comes from stepping outside of these expectations. Being useless can mean being free from exploitation, free from being consumed by the world's demands. In modern life, this lesson feels radical. What if we allowed ourselves moments of uselessness, to rest, to dream, to simply exist? What if we stopped measuring our worth only by our productivity? Zhuangzi's crooked tree whispers a quiet truth. Sometimes, what looks useless to society may be the very thing that keeps us alive, authentic, and free. Lesson 5. Live with spontaneity. For Zhuangzi, the most natural way to live was with spontaneity. He believed that when we are most aligned with the Tao, our actions flow effortlessly, without forced effort or rigid planning. Think of a bird flying through the sky. It does not plan each flap of its wings. It simply flies. A fish does not calculate each movement of its tail. It simply swims. That is spontaneity, acting with natural ease. Zhuangzi saw that humans often lose this spontaneity. We overthink, overanalyze, and plan every detail of our lives. We worry about the future, regret the past, and in doing so, we forget how to live naturally in the present moment. To live with spontaneity doesn't mean recklessness. It means trust, trusting life, trusting ourselves, trusting the Tao. It means acting with authenticity, not artificiality. In our busy, structured world, this lesson is refreshing. We don't need to control everything. Sometimes the best things happen when we stop forcing and start flowing. Zhuangzi's call is simple. Live like the bird, like the fish. Live with spontaneity and rediscover the joy of being alive. Lesson 6. The freedom of letting go. One of Zhuangzi's central teachings is the idea of freedom through detachment. He often illustrated this concept with parables that highlighted how our attachments, whether to wealth, reputation, or even rigid beliefs, are the root of suffering. In one story, Zhuangzi compares life to a boat floating on a river. If another empty boat bumps into ours, we don't get angry. But if a boat with someone inside hits us, suddenly our temper rises. Why? Because we attach meaning, ego, and blame where none is needed. This lesson invites us to live like the empty boat, to let go of unnecessary attachments and expectations so we can move freely without being weighed down by pride or anger. Applied to modern life, letting go does not mean abandoning goals or responsibilities. Instead, it means not clinging so tightly to outcomes that we lose our peace. Imagine being passed over for a promotion. If your identity is tied solely to career success, you'll suffer deeply. But if you've cultivated inner freedom, you'll see it as just one event in the flow of life, a chance to grow, to redirect, to breathe. Zhuangzi reminds us, the freer you are inside, the less external circumstances can imprison you. Letting go is not loss. It is liberation. Lesson 7. The Butterfly Dream, the Illusion of Reality. Perhaps Zhuangzi's most famous story is the butterfly dream. He dreamed he was a butterfly, fluttering freely and joyfully. When he awoke, he questioned, "Was I Zhuangzi dreaming I was a butterfly? Or am I now a butterfly dreaming I am Zhuangzi?" This story invites us to question the nature of reality and identity. How do we know what is truly real? Are our waking lives more authentic than our dreams, or are they both fleeting experiences in a larger mystery? In practical terms, this lesson reminds us to hold life lightly. What we take so seriously, the stress of deadlines, the competition for status, the endless chase for validation, may in the end be as transient as a dream. It also opens a profound spiritual perspective. Perhaps who we think we are is not fixed. Just as Zhuangzi shifted between man and butterfly, we too are fluid beings, constantly changing, never bound by a single identity. In today's world of constant pressure to define ourselves, our careers, social media profiles, even our beliefs, the butterfly dream whispers a gentle truth. Don't cling to labels. Be willing to transform. Life itself is a dream, so live it with wonder. Lesson 8. The Usefulness of Uselessness. Zhuangzi often challenged conventional thinking by flipping it upside down. One of his favorite paradoxes was the usefulness of uselessness. He tells the story of a gnarled, twisted old tree. Carpenters ignore it because its wood is unsuitable for building. People don't cut it down because it has no practical value. As a result, it survives for hundreds of years, providing shade and shelter. Its very uselessness ensures its survival and true purpose. This challenges our obsession with productivity and usefulness. In modern society, people are often judged by what they can produce, earn, or contribute. But Zhuangzi reminds us that value can exist outside of utility. A person who doesn't fit society's rigid mold may, in fact, carry unique wisdom, creativity, or joy. Think of an elderly person in a community. They may no longer be productive in the traditional sense, but their presence, stories, and perspective enrich the lives of everyone around them. Or think of leisure itself, rest, art, daydreaming. Society may dismiss them as useless, yet they are essential for a full, flourishing life. Zhuangzi's paradox teaches us to honor what cannot be measured. Sometimes what the world calls useless is exactly what keeps us truly alive. Lesson 9. Living in harmony with nature. Zhuangzi saw nature not as something to be controlled, but as a guide to wisdom. He believed humans should live in accordance with the Tao, the natural way of the universe, rather than forcing their will upon it. He often used examples from the natural world. Birds do not hoard food. Trees grow without striving. Rivers flow effortlessly toward the sea. Life unfolds with simplicity and grace when aligned with the rhythms of nature. For modern audiences, this lesson is a call to slow down. We live in a world of relentless control, controlling schedules, outcomes, even other people. Yet much of our suffering comes from resisting the natural flow of things. Zhuangzi would encourage us to notice, are we fighting the river, or are we flowing with it? For instance, when facing change, whether a career shift, a relationship ending, or aging, Do we resist with fear or adapt with openness? Living in harmony with nature is also ecological. Zhuangzi's wisdom warns against exploiting the earth for endless consumption. To live gently with nature is to find balance within ourselves. Lesson 10. The Joy of Simplicity. At the heart of Zhuangzi's philosophy is a return to simplicity. He rejected the complications of power, politics, and rigid morality. Instead, he valued the simple joys of existence: eating when hungry, resting when tired, laughing freely, living close to the earth. He often contrasted the small knowledge of those entangled in ambition with the great knowledge of those who live simply. Small knowledge clutters the mind with worries and calculations. Great knowledge sees the essence of life, uncluttered and clear. Applied today, the joy of simplicity is revolutionary. We live in an age of endless consumption, always more to buy, achieve, prove. Yet the more we accumulate, the heavier we feel. Zhuangzi invites us to rediscover the profound joy of less: fewer distractions, fewer possessions, fewer demands. Simplicity doesn't mean deprivation, it means clarity. It means choosing peace over chaos, presence over busyness. It means savoring the taste of food, the sound of laughter, the beauty of a sunset. Zhuangzi teaches us, when we strip away the excess, life's purest joys shine through. Zhuangzi's lessons invite us to live with freedom, humility, and peace in a chaotic world. Which of these 10 lessons speaks to you most deeply? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you found wisdom here, remember to like, subscribe, and join us for more timeless life lessons from the world's greatest thinkers.